Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putra Farizia Azimin Azman, and today I will show you about my PLC lab simulation, which is I will answer the question 1. As you can see, the question 1 is after the X0 switch is activated, the lights YO until Y5 will be turned on and off in the order as shown below. Every lamp is lighted for 2 seconds, and the black arrow represent the first step sequence and the white arrow represent the second step sequence that must be repeated. Okay. The question tell us to make for this question 1, the Y1 is a output and the XO is a input. So all of this Y0 until Y5 is a output, which is the light will be turned on for 2 seconds, which is we must set a timer for each output. So the light will be turned on for 2 seconds and it will turn off automatically, and we will continue at the next light, which is Y0 will be turned on for 2 seconds and will be turned off, and then it will be continue with Y1 until Y5. But for this questions 1, there is a looping. At Y5, we can see that there is a second step sequence, which is the white arrow here. You can see the white arrow here. It showed us that after Y5, lights will be turned on for 2 seconds, it will be turned off, and then it will go to Y3, and Y3 will be turned on for 2 seconds, and it will be repeated until the output is be turned off. So how do we get it? So we'll be using the FPWin GR software to solve these questions. Alright, first of all, we must put an input, which is here. This is an input start, and then we will pick XO as our input, and then we will insert our output, which is here, and we will Y0 as our output, the first output. And then it show here when XO will be turned on, the output will be turned on also. Next steps is we must set timer, which is we want the output to be turned on for 2 seconds. So we must put an input XO again, and we must put a timer here, timer of counter. So we will put TMY because the unit is in 1.0 second unit timer. It more suitable to use because we want to light the output for 2 seconds. So we pick TMY, and we pick the first output, which is we will name it as T1, the first one, TMY1. And then we must pick K, because why? This is a decimal constant integer type, so it is more suitable for it because we want integer which is 1, 2, and there's no pointer. So we just pick 2 seconds, K, and 2 seconds, enter. So here we see that X input will be insert and Y will be turned on for 2 seconds. And how do we want to turn off it until 2 seconds? So we must first add a new sequence, which is T1, new input T1, and then put a new output, which is the next output is Y1. Alright, so we want to turn off Y0 after 2 seconds, so we must put a note here, because a note function is to turn off the Y0. So we put note here, insert note, and we're putting T1. Because what? Because when T1 is turned on, after 2 seconds, T1 will be turned on, and automatically T1 for node will be turned on, and it will cut and make sure that Y0 will be turned off. And we must repeat these steps until Y5. So first of all, I will show you how I will demonstrate how it works. The device, alright. Okay, as you can see on my screen, when I turn on for 2 seconds, and T1 will cut. So Y0 will be turned off, and it will turn on Y1. So just write the same step, just do the same step until Y5. And don't forget to turn off your simulation after you play it, and continue the process. Alright, after complete, we'll test it. Go to online, force put input, and then pick here, and we try to turn it on. As you can see here, for 2 seconds, input will be in and output, and after 2 seconds it will cut off, and next go to the next input output for 2 seconds, and we will cut off, and we will move on to the next slide, which is Y2. Alright, it is successful. Okay, So now we have made sure that all of this output will be from Y0 until Y5 will be turned on for 2 seconds. And now the parts where we must make a loop, which is here. After Y5 we go to Y3. So what we must do is we must delete this T6 here, delete, and we just put it, just make it a line, continue the line, and then we go to Y3, which is where we want to make a loop. So we go to Y3 here, go here at the timer, and we delete it and put our T6, not T6, 6 here. Okay, and we try to run it to make sure that the looping is correct. I try to run it. Okay, at Y3, and it go next to the Y4 until Y5. And it go back at Y3 until Y5, and we start the loop until our input is turned off. So this is the simulation for question 1. After we finish with our ladder diagram, then we move on to mnemonic code, which is we must make a mnemonic code. So it contains 3 data, which is the first one is address, second one is instruction, and the last one is data slash operands. Okay, what is address? Address is the amount of sequence. Like the first one is we noted as 0000, and the first instruction is LD, which is anything input is noted as LD. So the input here at the first one we can see is XO, so we just type XO. Then we move on to the next one is 0001, and the next one is, as we can see here, there is a T1, which is a AND node because it is in a series. So we type AND node. So what is the operand is T1. After that is 0002, which is we can look here is YO. So what is a YO? YO is a output, so we put out, and then we noted it as YO, and put another one is 0003, and as we can look here, it's also come as an input. So XO, input is LD, and what is it is XO. Next, we see a timer. How to write a timer? Okay, for the address, same is 0004, and the instruction is timer, which is TIM, TIM. And then what is its operands? You can see here is TMY. TMY what? TMY1. Okay, and next is how many seconds is it? So we just put a hashtag 0020 for the second, and we repeat all of this step until finish. This is the finishing of mnemonic code for question 1.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Amir Hafiz bin Amis Ali. My student number is 2019292052, and today I'm going to do lab sheet number 1 for question number 2. Okay, the question is, after the XO switch is activated, the lights Y0 to Y5 will be turned on and off in the order as shown below. Every lamp is lighted for 2 seconds. The black arrow represents the first step sequence, and the white arrow represents the second step sequence. Okay, for question number 2, the lamp will be blinking in order from Y0 to Y5, and then it will repeat at Y2 to Y5, and then it will repeat again from Y2 to Y5, and again and again. Okay, let's start doing the ladder diagram for question number 2. Okay, first is putting the input of X0 and then the output for Y0. Okay, then the second row, input X0 and then the timer, TMY, the first timer, for 2 seconds, and then we put at the first row we put N naught for T1. The reason why I am using the TMI types is because it will count for every 1 second. Okay, for the next row, it's the same. It's basically the same steps, but with a different input and output. For this one is the input is T1 and the output is Y1, and then we put input T1 and then the timer, the second timer with 2 seconds, and then we put the end node for T2. Okay, as shown is the ladder diagram for it to be lighted from Y0 accordingly from Y0 to Y5. So basically we finish doing the first sequence. So we must proceed to do the second sequence. It is to make it repeat from Y0 to Y5 to Y2 and then Y5 and then Y2 and then Y5 and repeat. Okay, to make the second sequence is putting the end node for T6 on the same row of the T2 timer. Okay, then we are going to test it. Okay, debug, simulation, and then entering valve, and then we can see the Y0 lights up, and then Y1, Y2, Y3, Y4, Y5, and then it will repeat on at Y2, and then it will go to Y3, and then moving on to Y4, and then Y5, and then it will keep on repeating until we switch off the simulation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Syahri bin Suhaimi and my matrix number is 2019 6666668 and I'm from J4EM 1104H, and today I will do about the continuous of the experiment lab sheet 1, which is I will continue with question 3. And before we start, let me read the question what it's want to us to complete the ladder graph. Okay, okay, let me read first. After the X0 switch is activated, the lights, which is Y0 to Y5, will be turned on and off in order as shown below. Every lamp is lighted for 2 seconds. So the timer that we will set up after this is 2 seconds, and the black arrow represent the first step sequence, and the white arrow represent the second step sequence that must be repeated. And I say before, I will do the question 3. As you can see here, the first step, the black arrow, as it said before, it will be the first step, and after it done with the first step, it will repeat it again at Y0 and it will continuously repeated until we switch off the X0. Okay, first we will put the input X0 here, and then we type enter. After that, we will put the output, which is we use Y0, and we need to then enter. After that, we will type again the input X0, but we will put the timer, which is I will choose TMY, and this is the first timer, so we will put number 1, and we get here we need to put the how many seconds that we need, and as the question asks, we will put 2 seconds in for the timer, and we put K and number 2 for the 2 seconds. For that, we type enter. After that, here we will put input, and we'll choose and not T31, and we type enter. So after we done, this is the Y0, and then we will make another one for Y1, Y2, Y3, Y4, and Y5. I will show again how we want to do for the Y1. So we put the input, and we put T1 here. After that, we put the output Y1. Okay, then we put the input again, T1, and we put the timer here, which is we choose again TMY, and this time the timer will become timer 2 because you already have the number 1 here, and for the next we will put timer number 2, timer number 3, and so on. Okay, we put here, and as same as before, for the second here we will put K2 to represent 2 seconds. After that, in the input here, we need to put input and not, we put T2 because we already have T1 here, and this will be T2. Alright, so this is how we will make the ladder diagram. I will continue with the we will continue to find the Y2, Y3, Y4, and Y5. Okay, now we are done with the first sequence. We have Y0 to Y5, and then we will make the second sequence where the process will repeatedly from Y0 to Y5, and it continuously rotate until the X0 is switched off. Okay, to make this happen, we need to put the T6 here. The reason we put T6 because this is continuous from the previous one, which is T5, and if we want to make this this process continue at Y0, so we need to put here. If we put at the wrong place, then for the question 3 we are not get what they want us to make. So here we put input and end node, we put T6, okay, and then we put enter. After that we are done with the sequence 2, and we need to start a simulation to to check which our ladder diagram is in the right or we have error or not. Let's look at the simulation. We just need to put yes, we just press OK and let the software run this ladder diagram. Okay, we need to put the x0 in on. That we'll just need let the software run this ladder diagram. As you can see here, the y0 just now has a light, and then they go to the y1 because of the timer, which is the 2 seconds. After that we go to y2 and then y3. After that we go to y4 and y5. If we didn't do the second sequence, this process will start at y5, but because of we do the second sequence where it will repeatedly starting from 0 back and continually rotate the switch on light, and then we can see after the y5 we go back to the y0 again, and it will continuously happen. Okay, as you can see that our simulation is succeed, and I hope you guys understand what I try to explain in the question 3, and I hope you guys also understand that what my friends do and explain in question 1 and question 2. And that's all from us. I hope you guys enjoy it and understand what we try to give the information here. And that's all from us, and we want to say goodbye. Thank you.